Today, we are discussing if Angel really wants to change based on what we know about him from the first two episodes of the new series. These episodes are already available on the A24 app and website for $7. While it is called Early Access, there is no limit to the number of people who can purchase it. It's still just a normal release for the first two episodes, which is why on the 19th, Amazon isn't having a 2-episode premiere again, but a 4-episode premiere. Either way, turn back now if you don't want spoilers for episode 1 and 2 of the series. And if you want more indie cartoons to watch for free on YouTube in the meantime, check out my video reviewing various indie cartoon pilots, and leave a comment letting me know which one you'd like me to talk more about. Angel is introduced at the start of the official first season of Hazbin Hotel as the sole patron at the hotel, with everyone else being technically just staff. Angel's name is of course a play on the fact that he's a demon in hell, with it also being a reference to his drug of choice, angel dust. It makes sense that out of all the characters who were originally put together as a sort of team in the Zootopia comic series, Angel would be the one that gets transformed into a client of the hotel, with everyone else ultimately just working there. The irony of him being the one that they are trying to get redeemed, trying to become an actual angel, was just too hilarious for anyone else to take up that part of the spotlight. But of course, there is the question of whether or not Angel even really wants to change. In the first episode of the new series, Angel admits to something that was only alluded to in the pilot and prequel materials, which is that he's really only using Charlie for a place to stay, but in doing so, it's ultimately only going to make his addiction problems worse. The show implies that Angel was living with Valentino, but at the sort of large building that appears to be both the home and workspace of the three Vs. In the prequel comic, Angel was depicted as having his own apartment, one that was so tiny that it was clear most of Angel's money was going to his drug habit. The comics were available on the official Hazbin Hotel website before it was revamped for the release of the series, though they aren't something we should look at as canon. But the point of Angel having this small apartment still carries over to the series. Angel may have lived with Valentino, but he may have been paying to be there, likely giving up part of his paycheck. As Angel says to Vaggie in the first episode, he's just there to have a free place to stay because his addictions are expensive. This implies all of Angel's money was going towards his addiction, and that the Hazbin Hotel is either a place where he can maintain that addiction while finally saving money for his own place, or worse, Angel wasn't really paying anything for rent at the 3Vs, and this was just the only free place that he could get outside of there, allowing him to maintain his same spending habits, but finally away from Valentino. Either way, it paints Angel as someone who is mostly being led by his addiction, and on the surface, there's no real reason why he would want to seek redemption. Angel may like the idea of getting into heaven, but even beyond believing it is possible, he seems pretty committed to the idea that he could never truly give up his vice, though there are moments of doubt there. The biggest of these came from the Addict music video. This video was famous for celebrating the addiction of Angel in the large majority of the video, but at the last minute, the perspective changes when we see Angel singing about his addiction from a much darker angle. Here, he sings about how what he is really addicted to is the rush of complex emotions he feels that acts as a sort of companion to his very real physical addiction to various substances. These are feelings of sorrow and regret, but because of how long he has been going through this, they now make him feel satisfied. As Angel went down his addiction rabbit hole, you see, he would constantly be feeling new lows that he never felt before. Very disturbing ideas of how hard he is ruining his life the more he abuses these substances would begin to arise, and then he would become addicted to the extreme rush of sadness and depression each time. At the very end of the song, however, despite saying how helpless Angel feels, all it takes is one touch from Charlie and one memory of his truest low to make him want to escape. And with that, the music video ends with him entertaining the idea that things may not be so terrible inside the hotel, where he may not give up his addictions, but where he can at least reduce them and the effect they have on his life, as he begins to put out what he is smoking without finishing it, hinting at him wanting less and learning to restrain himself. But how exactly would that pan out in the show? The biggest indicator of what could make Angel change in the pilot was, once again, Charlie. Here, Angel has a much more drawn-out interaction with Charlie, with it having more subtle outcomes than in the Addict music video where we see him stop smoking. Here, Angel gets back to the hotel, acting rather entitled after having ruined Charlie's news broadcasts. She had tried to use him as proof that the hotel is offering redemption to some of Hell's greatest sinners, but that looked like a joke after Angel was seen in the same news broadcast participating in a turf war under the giant pentagram. He seemed to expect Charlie to bounce back, with her seeming like an endless source of enthusiasm, but when he sees how heartbroken she is, he has a legitimate sad moment. And while we see no real transformation or serious change in direction here, it hinted at what was going to happen in episode 2 of the new season. The B-plot for this episode was largely about Angel and Serpentius, who had returned to attack Alistair but managed to get taken in as a resident of the hotel by Charlie. Angel doesn't think Serpentius will last long, but the way Serpentius approaches this is different from Angel, and they get different results. Perhaps not with redemption, but at least with their relationship towards Charlie. Angel joined the hotel, but he's pretty honest about how he's just using her in order to save money, with Charlie essentially deciding that she can work with that, but she acknowledges that Angel doesn't take this seriously when she says that Serpentius is the first real guest at the hotel. She says Angel is an important part of the family, but the way he approaches the hotel has made him almost a background piece that Charlie hopes can help draw others in that can legitimately be saved. Serpentius, of course, is later revealed to just be a plant for Vox trying to record what's going on in the hotel, but along the way, he earns Charlie's trust by simply indulging her. It starts with Charlie's silly song game, which Angel calls lame, but Serpentius makes up a rhyme for when it's his turn. The truth is that Serpentius isn't seeking redemption, however, and he doesn't care about how any of the systems work. He's just doing exactly what he is told in order to get through them. This is best illustrated in the scene where Charlie has them act out a sort of morality play, where Angel is a naughty drug dealer and Serpentius is an innocent good boy who ends up saying no to drugs and then being chaste until marriage. Charlie is so impressed that she insists that Serpentius is going to be redeemed in no time, but of course, she has no authority to say that, and even if she could, Serpentius is far further from redemption than Angel is. Charlie knows that Angel has potential, but she acknowledges that what excites her about Serpentius is that he is actually interested in trying things, even though it's all an act. At the end of the day, Charlie doesn't really understand what an act like this is. She doesn't see how shallow it is to praise someone for doing exactly what is scripted, just playing the part you are given. Angel may not take Charlie's ideas seriously, but when seeing them played out with Serpentius, it's much easier to understand why. Angel perhaps can seek redemption and has moments where he thinks about getting better, but he understands it to be more serious and complex than Charlie could ever understand, as illustrated by her silly morality play. Despite that, Angel does really care for Charlie. He knows that he is taking advantage of her, but this episode shows that Charlie is aware of that and is still hoping to make progress with him. Angel is thus okay with their arrangement because he doesn't see it as misleading at this stage, where Serpentius is clearly just putting on an act, not even an act to get redemption, but an act that will ultimately hurt Charlie. Angel, of course, reveals that Serpentius was trying to record everyone, and Charlie ends up forgiving Serpentius with a song about how saying sorry is the beginning to starting over, playing into the idea that by acting nice, even if reading an exact script from Charlie, Serpentius may perhaps actually learn to have the true meaning behind the act over time. Angel, for some reason, seems to just accept this at the end of the episode, not really putting up much of a fight, but not really embracing the idea either, and it's uncertain if Angel is going to continue competing with Serpentius or not. But either way, it seems to have seriously opened the door for Angel to begin improving himself, not as a soul trying to redeem itself to get into heaven, but as an actual friend to Charlie, someone who watches out for her and will have to adjust his own behavior if he wants to make her happy. But of course, the story of Angel is much more complex than him or Charlie or the people at the hotel, and there's quite a twisted rabbit hole surrounding him and his history that will be unraveled as the show progresses. So what do you guys think so far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you haven't seen it yet, go check out the video we made breaking down cool indie cartoon pilots you can watch on YouTube. See you guys there.